Yeah, hey, this is Peavy here from Rage. You're on Sonic Perspectives.
Hi everyone, I'm Rodrigo Altaf, and this is another interview for Sonic Perspectives. We're talking today with Mr. Peavy Wagner of the German metal band Rage. Peavy, how's it going, man?
Everything fine here.
So let's talk about the new album, Wings of Rage. What can the fans expect this time?
Well, the idea was to bring all the stylistic elements together that Rage has developed over the last 35 years. That's how long we are on the road already. From the thrashy early days to the more hymnic metal anthems in the early 90s or late 90s when we developed to bring orchestral epic elements in the music, or in the 2000s we became a bit more progressive. And the idea was to bring all this together in a homogenic way on this new album and make a fine mix out of all these different elements, you know.
Right. Did you follow a similar process on this album to the previous one, Seasons of the Black, or was it different?
It was a bit of different, as we took way more time to work on the songs. You know, this is the third album now for this lineup, and on the first two ones we really shot it pretty much from the hip, you know, and did it very spontaneous. And this time now we took a lot more time to arrange the songs. Most of the songs went through at least 3 different versions, so we had the final one. And so this was a bit more effort, and I hope you hear it. You know.
Yeah. I was going to say, I mean, this was my next question, actually. It's the third album with this lineup, and I think it shows that as you get to know each other more, the albums get tighter and more cohesive.
Yeah, I mean, we knew already very long before, you know. Both guys are my longtime friends. The drummer, Lucky, I'm friends with him since 1988, so nearly all life, you know. The personal relationship was always really good, you know. But of course, we never really worked as musicians together over all the years, you know. We maybe did a little guitar jam on a barbecue or so, but we never really worked in a band together. So now, after nearly 5 years of being a band together, of course, the experience shows, I guess. And yeah, I think that's good.
So in terms of production, you guys did it yourselves with Marcos taking care of the mixing. Are you guys comfortable with self-producing, or would you consider bringing an outside guy in the future?
Yeah, we had for the last 2 albums, we had a friend, Dan Swano from Sweden, doing the mix, you know. And but this time we felt we are ready now to do everything ourselves, you know. Marcos has been an engineer and producer already before he was with Rage, but I first wanted to let him grow into the whole thing a bit more, you know. I wasn't so sure if it would be already at the first album as good enough to be doing it, but now he's really grown that much into the band, and I've heard productions he did in the years with other bands, so I thought it's the right time now to bring him in the picture as a mixer also for the album, and also for mastering and everything. And yeah, I think I was right. He did a really good job, you know.
He did, indeed. And he also did the mastering of the Refuge Years release. And I understand he was a big fan of the band before joining, right?
Yeah. He was. He got into metal with Rage, not only with Rage, but also with Rage. I mean, we are one of his most favorite bands when he was a teenager. So I think he studied already the DNA of the band when he was small, you know. And he did a good job already with the old stuff. I agree with you. So I think he's the right guy for this.
Yeah, he had a lot of influence in this mix, I think, because it's one guitar player in the lineup, but the guitars sound huge in this release. Was this a joint decision of you and him, or was it his own choice?
That was my choice, actually. It was my choice when he came with the first with the first song as a suggestion. Like, how do you feel about that? Yes, do it. You know, make it male. You know, and yeah, he was happy with it, and he did.
Okay. On the first song of the new album to be reviewed is "Let Them Rest in Peace." Can you tell us a little bit about the lyrical content of that song?
Oh, that's a anti-war song, and yeah, it's you know, I always like to write about people that have no lobby, that are a bit voiceless, you know, and especially in wars, a lot of people just get sacrificed by the big leaders, you know, and they kind of really, they're not really recommended, and so I wanted to give them a voice. This is one.
Okay. Right. And the second single is called True, and it has a little bit of a horror movie theme in the video, but also a positive message like be yourself, be true, and so on. What does that song talk about?
Actually, it was a bit about me, you know.
Okay.
I felt like I was already out of my whole life, you know, out of myself, and there was a bad relationship, and I felt really lonely and misunderstood, and but of course I don't write this in the me version, you know. It's I took like a fantasy picture, you know. I imagined this werewolf, you know, this a guy that's outside of society, you know, that's completely misunderstood, you know, and and if there's only one woman that actually sees the real me into him, you know, the real person, you know, under the mask, you know.
Oh,
And so actually it's a kind of a love song, you know, kind of weird love song.
Detail. Very cool. Yeah. Well, True has that werewolf sound. There's the ghoulish sounds on the Shadow Over Deadland, and a song called Chasing the Twilight Zone. It seems your love for horror movies is seeping into the new songs, right?
Yeah, the horror movies and of course Outsiders. So this is coming into a lot of the songs, right?
Yeah. What does Chasing the Twilight Zone mean anyway? I was curious about the chorus that says, I'm condemned to be the chaser of the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, it's also actually about me and being like trapped within my dark soul or so, you know.
Oh, okay.
I can't really step out and get in touch with other people, you know. It's all a bit of self-therapy thing, you know.
Yeah. Oh, at the same time, there's a positive message on Tomorrow about rebuilding yourself, rebuilding the world around you. So a lot of different moods on this album, right?
Yeah, actually, you're right.
Tell us about the song Wings of Rage. Was it written to be the title track, or did you look at all the songs and decided this was the strongest one and it should be the title track?
Actually, this was the second one that we had for the album, and I came up with this title, and everybody liked it very much to be also the album title, even if they didn't know what it actually was about. So, first of all, it was favorized to call the album simply Rage. I wasn't really sure about this, you know. So when I came up with this song title, it was like, yeah, that's the solution, you know, let's take it. And at the same time, Marcus was already talking with Stan Decker, the guy that did the cover for the album, and he also liked it very, very much. He said, "Oh, I have great ideas for this," you know. So this song kind of developed by itself to become the title track, you know, as everybody picked it up, and it was. Then in the end, I had no other choice than to take it, of course.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. Well, I am glad you mentioned the artist of the cover because it's probably my favorite Rage album cover, man. That's really cool. So tell us about the process of putting together that cover. I mean, how much input did you give to the artist and so on?
Basically, the most. I mean, we all discussed it, of course, but in the end, the conversation mostly happened between Marcus and Stan, you know, because they know each other already a while, and so. As he told him about this title, he directly came like, "Yeah, I have great ideas." So he came up with this idea of this kind of for our Soundchaser, the beast that's always on our covers, you know, to be mutated like a dragon kind of figure, watching over the nameless graves, you know, and as he came with the first scribbles, we were completely convinced from the beginning. So we just let him go, you know. And this guy is also, he likes Rage since a long time, you know. And he always wanted to do a cover for us. I didn't know this, you know. But Marcus told me like, he's really hard on making a cover for us, you know. He already offered to do it just for fun, you know, just for without even getting money for it. So like, I want to do it, you know. So okay, if he really wants to do it, so let him do. And he came really was a great thing, and he convinced everybody from the beginning. So we just let him go, and we gave a little input here and there about little details or so, you know. But in the general, he came up with the whole atmosphere, you know.
Okay. All right. One of the songs with a very deep meaning on this release is A Nameless Grave.
Yeah, it actually it talks about all these forgotten, nameless people that were responsible for all the big things in human history. Let me talk about an example: the pyramids in Egypt. Everybody remembers the names of the pharaohs that let these pyramids be built, but who actually built it? It was like thousands and thousands of workers that died for building up these pyramids, and they're completely forgotten. No one knows their names. So there's a lot of examples in human history when people that actually made the history are completely forgotten. Only the leaders are known. You wanted to give them a voice with this song.
Very cool. Well, it's almost like a metaphor for the corporate world where you have all these big shots and CEOs and so on in the media, but who actually does the work is the guys, the clerical guys, the guys, spinning the wheels on a daily basis. But
yeah, that's what it's about.
Yeah. And am I wrong in saying that you quoted the riff from Rush on Don't Let Me Down? Because I definitely hear it.
Yeah, this was a little Easter egg. This was Marcus' idea to put in from La Villa Strangiato, this little theme,
Yes.
You are the first guy to hear it, yeah. Actually, no one noticed so far. Maybe because Rush is not so big over here, but of course in America they're huge, I know. And this was a little Easter egg by purpose.
Yeah,
we are all big Rush fans.
I'm in Toronto, so if I didn't recognize this, I would punish myself. So
yeah, you would be deaf. I also thought it. I mean, this must be recognized. This is so obvious.
Yeah. So you guys are Rush fans?
Yeah. Oh. Since the 70s, I'm already a Rush fan.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. And I'm curious about HTTS 2.0, which is the re-recording of Higher Than the Sky from the End of All Days album from the mid-90s. Why that song and why now?
It was a coincidence, actually. I mean, it's a quarter of a century old. The original version sounds, of course, old school, but this new version is not meant to be in competition with the old version. Actually, I heard in the radio, Here I Go Again, the remake version from Whitesnake, from the 1987 album. And I just realized that the remake version was a way bigger hit for them than the original version in the 70s.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and for some reason we had a session after this. I jammed with Marcus on the guitars, and I just told him about this, and we just started to jam on this song, just for fun. And this kind of version developed. Then later, Lucky joined us, and in the beginning, he didn't even recognize that it's the old song, because it sounded kind of fresh for him. He started a new song, so we got into the idea to do a remake of this. First, it was just meant to be a bonus track for the album, but then we just thought it's too good to be just heard by a few fans that buy the limited edition version in Japan or wherever, So we wanted to bring it in the context with the new songs, and that's how we ended up in being a part of the album.
Okay, all right. And your voice has evolved quite differently and quite nicely through the years. You have that rough register now, but you're still able to sing high. What would you say was the most important thing you did to preserve it?
Whoa. I haven't been singing with all this high-pitched stuff for a long time. As I have to admit, I'm not really such a big fan of this kind of vocal style anymore. But then when I did the reunion with Manny Schmidt and Chris Eptimiadis for the Refuge lineup, for the Refuge band a couple of years ago, we were starting to play the old songs again, and I wanted to sing them originally, of course. So I just had to rework myself into this old style, into this high-pitched stuff. And I was surprised it still works, So it's nice that I can still do it, I mean, my voice is now a lot older than it was back then, and sometimes you lose this kind of stuff, but it's still there, and it's nice, but I wouldn't use it too much,
Yeah. Okay, and what came first for you, playing bass or singing?
Both was at the same time. Actually, I started to learn classical guitar when I was 8 years old. And from the beginning, I wrote already my own songs. As with every new chord I learned, I had to write a new song. And of course, I started singing them. I had no band at this point, but I already was doing like singer-songwriter stuff, and when I formed my first band, I was always a singer. In the beginning, I was also playing guitar in these early bands. Then at a time we had like 3 guitar players and no bass player. So it was the same time when I fell in love with Motorhead, and I was so impressed by Lemmy with his Rickenbacker bass guitar. It looked so fucking cool to me. And then I got the chance to buy a Rickenbacker model from 1969. I still have it.
Oh wow!
And I just bought it. I have never played the bass before, but I found it quite easy. When you are able to play guitar, especially when you're able to play classical guitar, it's not such a big deal to switch over to the bass. I found, at least back then. So I became a bass player, by just liking the instrument.
Nice, very cool, very cool. And we touched on the Refuge years, and last year we had the first release of new material under that name. What's it like to have 2 bands that are so similar to each other? Aren't you afraid of competing against yourself?
I wouldn't really call Refuge to be a real band or so. This is a kind of nice, fun side project. We put it on ice right now. It's not meant to be in competition to Rage or so. But basically we got together for one show. And then a lot of people came up to us and demanded more, there's a lot of promoters all over the world that were fans of this lineup, and they said, come on, can you do it again for my festival, So we ended up playing a lot of shows with this lineup, which was never meant to be, actually. And it cannot be like a real band, because both guys, both Manny and Chris, they quitted being professional musicians already years ago, and they have their families and jobs. They don't want to get back into the music business, So this is just meant to be a little fun for us, We meet and play some songs and do a barbecue, whatever, but it's not meant to be a professional band. And this one album was also on demand, actually. I mean, this record company, this Italian label, they didn't stop asking for it again and again and again. And in the end, okay, we did it. It was nice fun to do it, but it's not meant to be like competition, that we're gonna get into this album tour modus like you would do when you do a professional band or so. Probably it's gonna be the only one we do.
I see. Okay. And between Rage, Refuge, and a few other endeavors, you've done almost 30 studio albums. Do you still feel the same excitement with the new release, or is there an element of repetition that you sort of feel right now? Or
no, I wouldn't say. I mean, writing songs and performing them, recording them, has always been one of the most favorite things in my life. I just love to do this. And probably I would even do it if I wouldn't be able to do it professional. So if I would do it just for a hobby, I still would be doing it. I just like it. I just like the music. Music is my motor. It keeps me driving.
Okay. And I think the early part of the year is already being filled with tour days. There are 16 shows in February already booked. How many shows are you expecting to do next year?
Actually, we planned a tour for the next 2 years. We already booking shows for 21.
Jesus.
Yeah, there's a lot of more stuff coming up. We didn't announce the other stuff so far because the contracts still have to be signed and everything has to be confirmed. But we will release, of course, the next legs of touring as soon as we have everything together. This is just the very first leg in February here in Germany and near Europe, but there's going to come a lot more. And there's also actually plans to come over to the States and Canada by, I don't know when, we're still looking for the right time frame. And but yeah, we got some nice offers. Let's see how it works out. It's always a question of money, of course, but we are working on it at the moment right now.
Okay.
Hope it works out.
Yeah, I think the secret is to find the right bill as well, right? And find out artists that can come together and make it work. Yeah.
So we want to, maybe we can combine it with South America, which we already have into the schedule. So let's see how it works out. But we're working on it.
All right. Okay, right. Peavy, thank you so much, and all the best with the new album, Wings of Rage.
Yeah, thank you for your support, and hope to see you again.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right, Rodrigo. Goodbye.
Okay, everyone. That was the amazing Peavy Wagner of Rage. Please show your support by following us on Facebook and Twitter and subscribing to our YouTube channel. We're going to finish now with the song True from Rage's latest album, Wings of Rage. Take care and rock on.
soul has given upon the race. Now all the time he ran away, and all the sadness came to stay. As he's coated him with fear, he grew cold and lost his tears. Well, that's how it was when he was found. Have mercy on me, have mercy on you. Take time, be yourself, be true. Have mercy on me, have mercy on you. Let time find a way that's true. The gray wolf in the forest hunts his prey in the night. In the light of the full moon, he slips into the white. There's no sign of mercy